Welcome to Behind the Scenes at the Hanover Theater. Now, here's your host, Lisa Condit.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have a very special program today. We are lucky enough to be able to speak with both our current chairman of the board as well as our incoming chairman of the board. So this is a great, unique opportunity to really hear behind the scenes of the leadership committee. So I'd like at this point to welcome Jim O'Brien. He is a partner at Dearborn. Welcome, Jimmy.
Hi, Lisa. Good morning.
Good morning. So, Jimmy, we were talking a little bit about the upcoming annual meeting, and there are so many different things that I'm sure as the chairman of the board you would like to be able to say that you've been thinking about, and maybe some remembrances of your time on the board, because you've been with the theater since before the grand opening, right? You have seen it since the original dream of Ed and Paul, and you've seen the progress and you've seen the success. And so what are you thinking as you're coming up to the annual meeting?
Well, after 4.5 years as chair, a lot of thoughts have come to mind, and as I've been contemplating what I'll be talking about at the annual meeting on Tuesday night, I have a sense that I just want to take a look at where we've been, where we are, and where we may be going. And I say that we're meaning the theater because I think serving in a leadership position with this theater, it's a very unique opportunity to serve this community. And there is something very, very special, at least from my personal experience, about being involved with the Hanover Theater. As a lifelong resident of Worcester, I've been involved in a number of nonprofit ventures, and I'm here in my office, and I'm staring at a headline from the Telegram and Gazette talking about, or which shows my picture. I'm not bragging, but I was the spokesman for the Pro Civic Center campaign in the late 70s, which at the time was very controversial. But at that time, I believed very strongly that what is now the DCU Center could become a catalyst for real change in downtown Worcester. And so I worked in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce and other business leaders, and we won a landslide victory by 45 votes. We survived a recount, and the Civic Center, or now the DCU Center, is a reality. So, and I think about some funny incidents going back to my original involvement with the board and where we are and how we've evolved in the process that has developed in terms of how I became a member of the board. And it was really rather funny because Ed Medaus, who I'd known for a number of years, came up to me and said, "Gee, we're doing this thing with the old Polite Theater. We want to convert it into a theater, a performing arts theater. Would you be interested in being on our board?" And I said, sure, given my history with the DCU Center, the Civic Center, and my commitment to Worcester. I said, sure. And poof, I was a member of the board. I don't remember a vetting process or an election or anything like that, but and what's ironic is it was Ed Medaus, and primarily Ed, and no, not disparaging Paul, because those were the two dreamers and founders of this whole concept to put it together, but it was Ed who put the personalities together, at least for a large part, on the board. And it was a very interesting early phase of development because, as you know, there were a number of interests in the project. Hanover Insurance Company had made a significant financial investment. The foundations and corporations were strong supporters of it. So the board that came together in those days was cobbled together by Ed Medaus, Hanover Theater, and some other interest groups. So, and I thought about it, thinking about it, was really rather an arranged marriage. And I guess like all arranged marriages, but not having been involved with one, but there are some trials and tribulations and people getting used to each other and comfort levels. And so there's no question in our early days there were some difficulties that we had to overcome just internally. I think we overcame them because quickly people who served on the board were infused with the understanding that this is something special. Mm-hmm. This is a very unique thing for downtown Worcester, and we have to put aside our personal feelings, our skepticism about certain things, and move forward because this theater is bigger than any of us individually, and frankly, all of us collectively in terms of what it means to the city. And so, and also at that time, it was Ed Medaus through our former board member, Buck Spur, who encouraged him to take a look at this kid who was running a 300-seat theater in Stoneham, Massachusetts, by the name of Troy Siebels. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, Troy Siebels was our executive director, again selected by Ed. And as I think about how we've evolved to the present day and process and election and vetting people on the board and various committees, the early stages and the evolution of the theater's leadership structure was really cobbled together in somewhat of an unorthodox way, including the selection of Troy. But as I sit here today and reflect back on those days, I have to tip my hat to Ed Medaus because you know what? At the end of the day, it worked.
Absolutely.
It really worked. I know that somehow the chemistry that might have been confusing at first turned out to be terrific after a fashion because we all got to know each other, we all got to deal with each other. And for somebody like Troy and, frankly, a lot of the staff people who were not Worcester people, and those of us who are born and raised here, we recognize this community, as wonderful it is, has a very particular persona. And as a new person coming into town, you have to have your antennae out to understand the subtle complexities and undercurrents that exist in the city. But we did it, and we did it, and we put together not only a leadership team, but Troy, his staff, including you, Lisa, and Megan and Nell. We have a wonderfully effective operational team, and it's funny now as we're setting up structure and talking about a nomination process and how we want to have certain segments of the community represented and becoming far more official in the way we do things. I reflect on the days when I can't tell you or I remember other than poof, I'm a board member, and then the next thing I know, I was vice chairman of the board, and the next thing I know, we have an executive committee. And how those things came about to this day, I can't exactly tell you. But again, they worked. They really worked because I believe the people who came into the process quickly understood that we were given a very special charge. And
well, you know what, Jimmy? I think that one thing that's important for everybody to realize is every single person, whether it's a board member or a staff member or a volunteer, every single person cares passionately about the success of the theater and its relationship with other organizations within the community. And every single person who is involved with the theater understands the responsibility that goes along with that. And I think everybody together really wants to make sure and ensure that we remain a world-class organization.
You're absolutely correct that there's something about there's a romance that I have with this theater that I think we get, and you recognize the responsibility that we have. You're right. Everybody who serves is passionate about it, and I was thinking about my remarks on Tuesday evening at the annual meeting, and I was anticipating that I'll be looking out at the sea of faces of board members, and as I was thinking about everybody, I can look to every one of those board members, especially the seasoned veterans and say, I know you did this. I know you did that. I know you brought this to the theater, and this was your contribution, and it's ongoing. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful to think about that. And I think that I say that there's an expression for lawyers, especially in dealing with personal lives, and they say the law is a jealous mistress, meaning that, most lawyers don't have a 9-to-5 job, and we're committed at all hours of the day and night. Well, for the past several years, especially as chairman, I've had two mistresses: the theater, and the practice of law. And I must admit, I love them both very dearly. And I was at the theater the other night, looking around, and there isn't a time that I don't go there that I'm not thrilled.
Okay.
And as I said to Mo, my idiosyncrasy or habit when I go to the theater is either during, but especially at the end of the show, I will get up and look around at the audience. Two things I am extremely pleased with. Number one, there are smiles on people's faces. And secondly, most of the people I don't know, which I think is a great sign. And especially if you're a Worcester person, I mean, we are attracting a diverse geographic audience, and I think that is wonderful.
We are, Jimmy, and hold that thought, because we are going to continue this conversation after a very short break here on Behind the Scenes at the Hanover Theater on WCRN AM 830. Stay tuned, everybody.
Now, back to more of Behind the Scenes at the Hanover Theater and your host, Lisa Condit.
Thanks again for listening, everybody, as we continue our conversation here with our current chairman of the board, James D. O'Brien, Jr., who is also a partner at Mountain, Dearborn, and Whiting here in downtown Worcester. Welcome back, Jimmy. So we were just talking about how you love looking out at the sea of faces when you come to the theater.
Yeah, and the other night at an event at the Memphis, and
wasn't that fabulous?
It was terrific, and as you know, we partnered with South High School and the students at the high school to participate in over the weekend by attending a performance of the matinee performances of Memphis.
That's right.
And Maureen Benenda, who's the principal of the school, is not only a principal, but she's also one of our volunteers. And as you probably are aware, I became aware of our volunteers becoming very supportive in terms of real, tangible contributions of food and other things to the students of South High School, who a lot of whom don't have a lot going for them. And I couldn't believe initially the stories I heard about some of the struggles and challenges her students were facing. And as a result, I went to South High School and met with Maureen Benenda and saw the pantry where she keeps food products and things, and the backpacks, so the kids can take stuff home in the backpacks without necessarily letting other kids know that they're being given food. Based upon that, I, and including Eddie Meadows and a few other people put together a group we call the Colonel's Club, because these kids needed other things, such as dental care and eye care. And Ed Meadows in particular arranged through Quinsigamond Community College for the kids to have dental care and eye care.
Wow.
And just, the South High relationship with the theater spawned additional efforts independently on my part and the part of a few other people to support Maureen and the kids in that school. So
that's wonderful.
I knew the kids were going to be performing or coming down the aisle, but as I said to Mo Boisver, I said, Mo, I really got choked up watching those kids come down the aisle because, they were studying the Memphis, but they were not studying just the program. They were studying the history and the cultural issues of 1950s in the South and discrimination and race difficulties. And I said that going forward, that's really something that we need to think about. The theater needs to think about doing, and a couple of other things that I think about when you walk away, even after 4.5 years, and I'm ready, but
No!
you leave so many things on the table. I mean, there are so many things that I have wanted to do that I have all the confidence in the world that as a board and with Mo's leadership we can do. For example, I tried to initiate and still strongly believe that we can collaborate more actively and aggressively than we have been able to do so far. And I will say, for the record, this is not the Hanover Theater's fault. With Mechanics Hall, with the Worcester Art Museum, with the Ecotarium, with the other cultural organizations in the area.
Well,
there's so many programs I think we could coordinate together, because even with the Mechanics Hall relationship, we don't perceive ourselves in competition with them. Rather,
absolutely,
we think we could complement each other. So
you're absolutely right, Jimmy. And you know what? They are our really big, great partners through the WooCard program. And actually, the Worcester Art Museum, the Ecotarium, and the Hanover Theater, we're working together on a really great membership initiative that's going to benefit us as the three cultural organizations, but also Worcester as a whole, as we work together to attract more and more people to downtown Worcester, Worcester County, because this is a fabulous place to come, to play, to study, to work, to eat, all of the above. And you know what? We just need to get the word out there, because this is a world-class city and we have world-class entertainment right here.
No, there's no question about it. And so that was one initiative that I'm glad to hear that's being fostered a bit, but I tried, and I feel like I didn't get it quite far down the road as I wanted to, because I think you're doing it, on a level that will bring comfort to the other institutions, and I think that there's a whole lot that we could be doing, especially with the Art Museum and Mechanics
Absolutely.
Hall. South High has become our kind of pilot program and our
Adopt a School program. They are our pilot school with the Adopt a School program that we've started, where we really are taking a community interest in this school. And when you look at the demographics, they need our help and we need them. They are our future theater goers, they are our future supporters, and they're our future talent. So it is worth the investment all around. Absolutely.
Yeah, I talked to Maureen Benenda just last night, and she said to me that it was an unbelievable experience for her kids, and one kid in particular all of a sudden was walking out of the theater with her and then ran back and started to belt out a song that Maureen said it was just unbelievable.
Oh, that's awesome.
She said this girl's voice was unbelievable, and she came back to me and she said, someday I'm going to come back here again, but I'm going to be on that stage.
That's right.
And that's the kind of enthusiasm, response that we have. One kid, one student whose life is enhanced by that experience. That's a really big deal in my eyes.
Absolutely. That's us inspiring change through the Adopt a School program and access to the arts. And, people's support of these programs helps us do really good things in the community, not just for us, because you know what? At the end of the day, the Hanover Theater is a nonprofit organization, right?
Right. We're in a $31 million plus building, and I think at last check, Troy told me our annual budget is somewhere around $8 or $9 million a year. I mean, I look at it every year, but and when you know the history of how we developed and how we evolved in terms of the contributions that were made by the foundations, corporations, Hanover Theater, people like Mary DeFutis and Fred Eppinger individually, and the average person on the street. I know something about this from a legal point of view, but I mean, we were charged with a very, very special fiduciary duty, and that is people collectively had invested and have invested millions of dollars in the development of this theater. And we have, as a board and as an organization, the really great responsibility to see that those funds are properly handled, properly invested, properly utilized for the evolution of the theater. And part of what we're doing now, as you know, is we're involved in a capital campaign to hopefully raise somewhere between $3 and $5 million, which will go a long way towards allowing us to create an endowment and secure the future of the theater. So I feel that at this stage of my life, I learned that most of the things that we do in life and most responsibilities like this, and I use the term very positively, we're temporary custodians of these duties. And so during the time period we are those custodians, we do have a special duty to make sure we do the right job, because any legacy we may have in terms of how will be only judged upon how we did it in our time. And so as I sit here thinking back over 4 years, I can't help but be thankful for all of the people, organizations, foundations, and corporations who had trust in some believers and some dreamers about this. But one of the things we've done in the capital campaign, we've tried to say, your confidence in us was not mistaken. We've done it right. As you know, Lisa, our numbers, our ranking in Pollstar, our effectiveness, our increasing shows that we have and the nights we're open reflect that we have done it right, and I believe that, I know in the future we will continue to do it right. So, I'm very grateful to the officers and the board members, some and many, all of whom have made a contribution. A few of my close friends have been very helpful and supportive of me, because during the days when we were struggling with organizational issues and personnel issues, things were tough, and I needed people I could talk to and say, gee, am I heading down the right road? Am I doing the right thing? And so inevitably you have to rely on people you can trust. And it's been wonderful working with Troy and the staff, and I think going forward we have all the confidence in the world with Troy. And then among the things I said one time during, as you recall, when we had Sherry Redstone, the daughter of Sumner Redstone, whose family owned the theater, and we recognized her for her family's contribution or gift to the theater to Worcester. I mentioned that what the family gave us was not just a building, but with that building we were given the gift of opportunity. And the gift of opportunity, when you think about it in life, is very important. We've all had gifts of opportunity, whether it's the opportunity to get a good education, the opportunity that somebody will say, okay, I'll hire you in this job, or we all are given a gift of opportunity.
Absolutely, Jimmy. And you know what? We only have a couple more minutes.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that if you have any words of wisdom for the next chairman of the board, that you have an opportunity right now, your gift of opportunity to Mo.
Well, I will pass on the gift of opportunity to Mo, as I should. And, of course...
Any advice?
Be yourself.
Right.
Mo and I have talked. We've had a luncheon between the two of us. I've tried to share my thoughts. The board, the executive committee, are very sensitive to the issue of transition and to make sure that, and we have a lot of wonderful people, but we do think it's important that the chair position be transitioned in the right way at the right time, and so we're trying to set that up for the future. And I think Mo is an excellent choice for a lot of reasons. Number
Absolutely.
one, he's extremely well known in the nonprofit community. He's been a very effective leader. He knows how to run an organization. He knows how and where to ask for money. He has some wonderful ideas about the future. I couldn't be, and of course I've known Mo since we went to unfortunately, a great late but bygone school, Assumption Prep, where Quinsigamond Community College is now. And we both share a memory of a wonderful prep school that we attended. He's a little bit older than I am, but we were there at the same time. And so I couldn't be more thrilled, more confident, and more positive about the future, because Mo has some great ideas. They'll be different. They're different than I might have been thinking about, but that's what you need. You need change. You need difference. And I have all of the confidence in the world in Mo and his leadership. I'll be staying on the executive committee for a while, and I will chair the capital campaign with him through that termination. So he will have my support.
Absolutely.
And a true sense of understanding as of Tuesday night, I get out of the way and sit down, and it's his baby.
You know what? We just want to thank you for all the hard work and the success that you've brought to our organization. We wish you the best, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with you in your new role with the theater. And everybody stay tuned for more behind the scenes as we continue the conversation with Mo Boisvert. Thank you again, Jimmy.